Well, they said it couldn't happen, but we did it. We made it to a second episode of Common Ground. As always, I'm your host, Troy Nolder, Director of Housing at the University of North Dakota. We are in week 4 of the semester, and as expected, COVID-19 has continued to be a central topic of focus for our students, staff, and faculty. As a state, North Dakota has experienced a significant spike in the positive cases and positivity rates since school began. The campus has been diligent in providing quarantine and isolation spaces and meals for those who have been impacted in an effort to mitigate the ongoing spread. We've been fortunate up to this point that our healthcare system has been able to keep up with the demand. While not perfect, most of our students in the residence halls are attempting to comply with the Healthy Hawk initiatives. This is in no small part due to the work of our live-in staff. However, the risk is not diminished, and we still must work to educate our students to avoid high-risk situations once they leave our communities. Activities such as attending large parties or not wearing masks when interacting with others creates opportunities for the coronavirus to be brought back into our communities. The leadership on campus wants to avoid moving all classes to fully remote. The only way we can do this is by everyone continuing to do their part. COVID may have impacted how we do our work, but it has not impacted the purpose of our work. Our departmental mission continues to focus on 3 things: being responsible stewards of resources and the care of our students, the creation of communities that are engaging, inclusive, and supportive of learning, and for providing opportunities for student learning and development. Learning is driven by intentional outcomes developed by our staff as part of our residential curriculum. Similarly to faculty using curriculum to set the course for what students will learn in the academic classrooms, our residential curriculum guides what students can learn outside of the classroom through their on-campus living experience. To feature some of the great work that has resulted from our residential curriculum in our first month, I'm going to turn it over to our BSN studios for highlights for Curriculum Zone 1, Community Engagement.
Here in BSN Studios in Brandon Hall, hello and greetings. Welcome to the post-zone coverage of the first month of the 2020 school year. I'm Chris Yambau. Joining me in the booth today is Kyle Kolash. We're both very excited to highlight some of the great programs that our staff hosted over the last few weeks. Before we get into that, though, I want to throw it over to Kyle to give us the UND housing keys to the game. We were looking at all these factors all zone long to put us in the right mindset and hit the ground running. Kyle, over to you.
Thank you, Chris. So for this first zone, we wanted to hone in on community connections. For us, that meant a few things, beginning with really magnifying the lessons learned in dance floor theory. For each of our staff members, we wanted to remember the 4-step process of making connections. This includes introduce yourself, introduce others to each other, making small relevant groups, and stepping away. Our next key to the game was getting solid on the fundamentals. Are we sending in our proposals at the right time? Do we understand our learning outcomes? And are we marketing effectively? Remembering these small things in training translate to a big engagement on the field. Lastly, we wanted our team to listen to our residents. What do they like to do? All of this will set us up for success in future zones. It's all about reading the line diligently, being flexible, and then making your move. Back to you, Chris.
Awesome work as always, Kyle. We're going to highlight a few of the great programs that we saw in the area of this zone. Overall, we saw a mixture of passive and active events, of in-person and virtual events as well. Now the challenge remains, how do we engage our students while staying within Healthy Hawks guidelines? And from what we've seen, Kyle, over the last few weeks, it's fair to say that not only have we been COVID resistant, beyond that, we have curved the spread downward and gave the people what they want. Kyle, over to you.
Thank you again, Chris. Starting in Brandon Hall, we have a highlight of resident assistant Jessica Rosencrantz. As you mentioned before, Chris, Jessica boosted community connections with her residents through an educational yet COVID-friendly programming format in an event called Get to Know You Cards. Residents were given the opportunity to write down some fun information about themselves and display their cards on their suite doors. The goal of this event is to help kickstart conversations and begin the process of building a strong community. What a display of dance floor theory, wouldn't you say, Chris? Absolutely incredible.
Got that right, Kyle. Over to Norrin Hall, we saw a fantastic turnout at the self-care goodie bags event. True to form for the Narwhals, an emphasis on stress relief and fun was made clear to all that attended. Students worked their way down to the ground floor lobby to talk with their favorite resident assistants and get some tips on self-care. Our team wanted to take the time and set the pace early on to let their residents know that it's great that you work hard. It's awesome that you want to do well in classes, but it's also more than okay to take a break when you need it. Residents were happy to hear that and even made plans with each other to host their own self-care nights later on in the week.
Last but certainly not least, we had a huge display of excellence in Selke Hall. Former Trophy Award winner Addison Harper has set forward with an event called Choose the Tunes. Believe it or not, Chris, most people have a love for music. However, each individual typically has their own personal taste of tunes they listen to. What better way to start a conversation than creating a playlist amongst your peers? Absolutely great to see it, Addison. We can't see what you have in store for the next zone. I have to say, it seems like everyone has been on the ball. Have to say, there's a lot to be proud of, and I can't wait to see what's to come.
That'll do it for us here at BSN Studios. We got a lot to look forward to in the next zone of the residential curriculum. It's academic success season, and we're programming around ways to get that grade. For Kyle Kolash, I'm Chris Yambau. We'll see you around the neighborhood. Back to you, Troy.
Thanks, Chris and Kyle, for putting together those great highlights. There is great work like this being done in all of our housing areas. If you have a story you would like to see featured, contact me and you might be in a future episode of Common Ground. We're coming to the end of the first 6 weeks. This is an important milestone because research shows that if we don't make a connection that matters with students in this time period, there's a higher risk these students may drop out or not return to UND for another year. Connections happen in many ways. Maybe you helped someone get a work order addressed in their room. Maybe you took the time to help someone find the dining center. Maybe you provided a listening ear for someone who was feeling homesick. Maybe you personally invited someone to a floor program. Or maybe you went with a student to the first area government meeting. How the connection is made is not as important as what it makes the student feels. Students want and need to feel that they matter, that they belong, and that they have found a home at UND. This year, more than any other, it is important that we make these connections so people are not feeling isolated in our physically distant, mask-wearing virtual world. I've created the Home at UND Pop Star of the Month Award to recognize a person who uniquely makes a connection with a student that matters. This recognition can be awarded to any student, staff, or faculty, and the monthly recipient will become a part of the Home at UND Hall of Fame. You can nominate people by going to the link below. The nomination form is simple. Please take a couple of minutes to nominate a person who has made a difference. That's it for this week's edition. Come back again to hear future updates about how we share common ground.